Hey everybody, welcome on back. Today we are playing Tifa Lockhart in Best of One Standard. This is a great card, 2 mana for a 1/2 with Trample, and it has a landfall trigger. Whenever a land enters, you double the power of this creature until the end of turn. And so we're going to be playing fetch lands, we're going to be playing other ways to get lands into play. We're going to be playing +1/+1 counters. We're going to be doing a lot of stuff to get Tifa up to, 8 power, 16 power, 32 power, and really not always just one shot, but really finish them off with a big Tifa turn. Now, there's plenty of these decks online. There's lots of splashes in each of the colors. Today we're going to be focused on a budget version. This is a great version to try out on Magic Arena. See if you like it before you invest in usually the lands, and if you're doing a splash color, the lands become that much more expensive in wildcards because you're going to have to be crafting all of these rares. The core of the deck is Llanowar Elf for acceleration, Zaz Chocobo, which is just another value creature, a 0/1 that gets a +1/+1 for each landfall trigger, of which we will have many. Tifa herself. Bristly Bill, which is a 2/2. Whenever a landfall trigger happens, put a +1/+1 counter on any target creature. And then for 5 mana, you could double the number of +1/+1 counters on every creature you control. And then Mossbound Hydra, right? This is a 3 mana 1/1 because it's a 0/0 with a 1 +1/+1 counter on it. Whenever a land comes in, double the number of +1/+1 counters. So this is kind of the backup Tifa. The trample is really important on Tifa and the Hydra. You won't have that on Zaz Chocobo, so just keep that in mind. That is the creature core of this deck. Now, the spells that are used to pump it up, Snakeskin Veil is one that is universal in almost every single list. This is put a +1/+1 counter on target creature, and it gains hexproof. This is a way to not just pump your creature. I know it's a small pump, but it'll help you win combat sometimes, but also is one of your main protection spells from targeted removal. Because if your opponent were to remove Tifa, the rest of the deck falls well short. Another card you can use is Overprotect. This does cost 2 mana, so it is kind of costly to hold up in your hand if you end up not spending it, but it gives your creatures +3/+3, trample, hexproof, and indestructible. So it is a really great card. It deals with everything except for mass exile, right? So it deals with everything, but at the cost of 2 mana being held up all the time. Other than that, you do have some supporting cards in this deck because we're trying to be a little bit more budget. We have Spring Bloom Druid. This is a 3 mana 1/1. When it enters, you sacrifice a land, and if you do, search for up to 2 basic lands and put them on the battlefield tapped. So if you have a land drop for that turn, you play Spring Bloom Druid, 2 new lands come into the battlefield. Now they're coming in tapped, but that's 3 landfall triggers that you have in the same turn. And, that means that if Tifa's power was 4, now you're making it 8, 16, 32, right? And so that's where you get some of these one-shot kills from. This is a mythic rare, 4 mana for a 1/3. At the beginning of combat, put X 1/1 counters on all the creatures you control, where X is this creature's power. So right off the bat, it's 4 mana, put a +1/+1 on everything you control. But if you're able to pump this up, then it just gets better and better, right? And so this is a mythic. This isn't something that I would be starting out with. If you are on a budget, I would keep the deck a little bit lower on the mana curve, just to conserve your wild cards. Play the deck, see how you like it, see how it performs. If you enjoy the deck, you can always invest more, right? And the same thing with Archdruid's Charm, right? For 3 mana, this can exile an artifact or enchantment, right? It can search for a creature or land and put it onto the battlefield tapped if it was a land card, otherwise it goes in your hand. Or put a +1/+1 counter, and then it deals damage to a creature your opponent controls. So it's a punch, not a fight. For the budget players, we do have Bushwhack. So this is a budget version. This is a common instead of the rare that Archdruid's Charm is. This is 1 mana for sorcery speed. Find a land, put it into your hand, or fight. Right? So that means you'll be dealing damage to their creature will be also dealing damage to your creature. It is tougher with Tifa, since Tifa's toughness doesn't scale. It's only her power, but usually with the +1/+1 counters, you can get the toughness up to where a Bushwhack is good enough for you. The last part I want to talk about is the lands. So this is a mono green version of the deck, but the fetch lands are really important. You can use Escape Tunnel, Evolving Wild, Terramorphic Expanse, those type of lands that will search for another land and put it onto the battlefield tapped. So you can get 2 landfall triggers in the same turn. Fabled Passage is something that would make sense to invest in if you enjoy playing the deck. It's the very same card, except if you control 4 or more lands, that land comes in untapped. So most of the time it comes in tapped, but sometimes it comes in untapped, and then you can use it right away on that turn. It is a small advantage, and if you're playing best of 1 and just playing it very casually, you don't need to sink 4 wildcards into this. But if you do decide that this is a deck you want to bring into your rotation, you want to play it a lot, and you want to play it optimally, Fabled Passage is a great card. So we're going to just jump into some games and see how it goes. Okay, here we go. We're going to get right into the first game and see what we can do. At heart, this is an aggro deck with a, I don't know if I should say combo finish, but it's certainly looking to kind of get them out of nowhere if they're not paying attention, right? So this is like a Zaz Chocobo, and then every land that comes in with Bristly Bill is going to give you 2 counters, right? But the key is you're not going to be able to play Bristly Bill on turn 2 and have a land drop, right? Because this is going to come in tapped on turn 2. So it is a keep, but keep in mind that if your fetch lands are in your opening hand, that's not exactly where you want to see them, because they will start taking some of the tempo away from you. We will start with Zaz Chocobo and see where our opponent is going to go. Okay, and we do have a Tifa. Tifa and Bristly Bill are awesome together, but we're not going to be able to play it this turn, so we will just search for a land, get a second landfall trigger, and attack it. Next turn we're going to have 2 mana, so we could either get Tifa out or get the Bristly Bill. Interesting. We could get 1 trigger and hold up a protection spell. Now that Fabled Passage comes in untapped, I don't mind doing this as much. Our opponent gets to think here. Do they have a counter? No. They could do something on the trigger for the landfall, but they can't stop the land from being played. Okay, so we will attack. Our opponent is looking to do something here. Draw 2 cards and discard a card, sure. This may be fetching or looking to find a sweeper of some sorts. This deck is obviously not well equipped to handle sweepers. Here on our side, we will, yeah. Yep. So here we will play Bristly Bill, Fabled Passage. Unfortunately, we're not going to get the triggers on Tifa, but we will at least get the triggers. And so, unless they have another sweeper, they're going to be facing down quite a bit next turn. Next turn, we could make this 2, 4, 8, and we're also attacking with the 4/4. Oh no, we would have more because we would have the counters moving over there, right? Looks like they may have targeted removal. No, they do not. Okay, well, we're going to play the lands first. Okay. Crack the land here. Hopefully this Snakeskin Veil will do its part. This is lethal if it's not. Look at the top of X cards. Yep. Looking for a targeted removal spell, but now Snakeskin Veil becomes even better. Yeah. And that's it. Game 1 in the books against the sweeper. That's not normally how the deck goes. If you are getting Day of Judgment on turn 4, I don't think you have higher than, say, a 25-30% win rate against Day of Judgment. This is not a deck that is really apt to deal with sweepers, but you can see how to do it on that one. I think we did get a little bit lucky there. But we'll jump into the next one and see if we can keep riding this luck. This is an all-in deck. This is a deck that I kind of classify in a glass cannon kind of deck. We do have backup plans. You have the Hydra, you have Zaz Chocobo, but none of those plans are as good as the Tifa, right? So like this kind of hand, this is not a great hand and not something that you would normally think of was going to win you a ton of games. We are going to play it though. You know, when you play a best of one deck that has, you know, 4 of your combo pieces, right? Like you're going to play a lot of decks that just don't have it in hand, right? And so that's something you're just going to have to be ready to deal with. This is going to slow down aggro, so we're already off to quite a poor start. That being said, we're going to do our best. By getting the Llanowar Elf down now, next turn we can play Hydra, get the 1 counter, and then play the land after, and that'll get the 2nd counter. We weren't going to attack with the Llanowar Elves anyway, so this doubles, this just gets an additional counter. No real attacks yet. Next turn, drop this, land, this becomes 4, this becomes 2. Yep, if an attacking causes a... Yep, so there's going to be a bunch of mobilizes. Yeah, 6, wow. Only block 1. We can't concede because we do have Bushwhacks in the deck. Can't concede on this, but this is getting close. Yeah. We'll have to concede here. Okay. Sharpshooter and Mobilize. That is a nice combo. Let's get right into another one. We have 4 Bushwhack and 2 Archdruid's Charm for removal, for fight removal. So we don't have a lot in the deck, but it's there and we can deal with something some of the times, but not always. So this is going to be a Zaz and a Bristly Bill, and then we're going to look to make a bunch of landfall. It's very hard to keep up the hexproof when you kind of need to, but this is where we are. We could play Llanowar Elf and hold up Snakeskin, but I don't think that necessarily gets us. Well, wait a minute. So if we hold up Llanowar, then next turn we're guaranteed at least 2 landfalls from Springbloom Druid if Llanowar is still on the battlefield. I don't think that's as good as just getting Bristly Bill down, so we'll try it this way, but we could be wrong. Let me know in the comments below if you've played this deck multiple times and you have a little bit more insight. Here, if we draw a land, we're going to play it and go right into the Druid. If we don't, we have the Llanowar Elf play. Here, let's see, so we could put all our resources into making this bigger, but I think we're going to need to get the land anyway, right? So let's get the land, because otherwise the deck just does not function. We'll play the land. Okay. Now this is not going to stop Johnny's Primate from attacking next turn, right? Because he's going to have a creature enter before the turn. We could attack, and he could make the mistake of double blocking. Yeah, I like giving him the chance to make the mistake. Our opponent decides not to make that mistake. If he were to spend his entire turn, play a Plains, play a Banishing Light to hit Zaz Chocobo, he's just not adding to his game plan effectively. Yeah. Much better turn by my opponent here. He can go ahead and attack in. Yeah, this is going to be a 5/5. Yep. It's all good on his side. No blocks here. Okay. Playing Druid would get 2 landfall triggers. So 2 here. And we could hold up Snakeskin Veil. So I think that's definitely what we have to do here. And we are looking to make this big enough to have him not attack next turn. Eventually, we're going to have to put the Snakeskin Veil on something just to get the... Yep. He's going to take one of them away. We're going to put it on something just so that Bristly Bill's ability to double will hit more than one thing. Yep. These guys are going to gain a +1/+1, but I don't think they're going to be able to attack this turn. Okay, they're going to come close, right? It'll be a 7/7. Okay. He could attack with the 8/8, but he should know that he's got Snakeskin Veil here, right? So I don't know what this is about, but I'm going to take the opportunity. Maybe he's just getting it out of hand, but when you have the opportunity to take one of their big creatures off the board, you definitely want to do it. Okay, 2 more landfall triggers. Now with this bristly bill, I think I do want to put it somewhere else, right? And I'll pass it down. Obviously, I think he knows what's up, but I'm just going to make sure that he does it the right way. Yep. So I crack this. Put a +1/+1 counter there. And then end a turn. Activate and double all the +1/+1 counters. My assumption is he's going to have to jump block here. But like, do I guess I could wait one more turn, right? If I attack with this, I'll kill something, but he just moves the counter over. Yeah, I think I have to wait here. I need something like... I need something with trample. Oh, I think overprotective gives trample. So something like that would be very helpful here. Okay, Arena is out, and so this is going to speed up our clock quite a bit. But that does mean he's out of cards. This is 2 more landfall triggers. Any kind of trample would be amazing here, because he is going to deal with quite a bit. Problem is if he chump blocks and moves the counters over, right? So these 3 are going to be fine, but these won't. Everybody's going to get 4 counters, and then that'll be 8 counters. Blocks, blocks, blocks. Okay, so this will be 4 more, right? So this will be a 6. This will be an 11. Not quite. Almost. Actually, what about Snakeskin Veil? I did not do the math here. I probably should have, but I did attack anyway because these counters are going to get doubled, right? So he has to block there. This is 16. This is 13. Okay. Next time on stream or on video, I have to do the math. I did not do the math there, but I I didn't think we were going to win a long game anyway against Phyrexian Arena. They're just going to be drawing multiple cards without much penalty on their side. They had a way to chip in with the flyers, so I wasn't overly afraid of being aggressive there because I just didn't think that we had a really long game. A lot of times with these best of one strategies, it's kind of these glass cannon strategies. You're out there saying like, do you have an answer for this? And if they do, great. You can't be upset that that they did have one answer for it, because we're playing the kind of strategy where there only needs to be one answer, right? Yeah. This is a good hand. It'll be Forest into Llanowar Elf. The double trigger on the landfall doesn't really matter with Tifa this early in the game until you get +1/+1 counters on her. The double landfall doesn't really do much. So we are kind of hoping for another Forest here. But if we don't get it, that's fine also. There we go. We will just play Tifa and then have some protection up. And then hopefully this this Fable Passage will help later. So if we put a counter on it now, we could counter, right? So this could possibly, let's give them a chance to attack. Okay. So we could have 3 counters on this before it is our attack step, right? So now, later, right? So that would be 4 power. So that would be 8, and then that would be 16. Not enough to get them, and he does have some toughness here. So that's not what I'm going to do, but it is good to do the math. Okay. Archdruid's Charm is definitely something that we could do. Put a +1/+1 counter, and then deal damage. Sacrifice 3 treasures. Whenever you sacrifice a... Okay. We could get this off the board right now. Which I think I would like to do, right? Okay. And then it doesn't really matter if this is 4 or 8, I guess. Right? We'll have that for next turn. So I think my opponent is dead next turn, right? Because we're going to be able to go Snakeskin Veil, and then if they use a removal spell, just use another one. So we're going to use one of them right now. I'm going to go 4, 5, and then double. Yeah, that would be 10 to 20, and then attack with 20 trample. It's a fun deck to play around with. Doing the math is... It's easy until you have things like Bristly Bill involved, where you're getting the counter and you're going to get the double after you get the new counter. So it does test your magic math skills. And previous game where I just decided not to do the math, eventually sometimes you do the math to where you know that this is going to be so big that it looks like it's going to be a kill, and then sometimes you just go ahead and get in there. Obviously, if you were playing for any kind of stakes, or you were playing in some kind of tournament or a game that really matters for you, you would be doing all the math, but that is not the case here. So this is not the kind of hand that you want to keep, although I don't know if this deck really performs all that well with 5 or 6 cards. I think we'll keep it just to see what happens, but in obviously a tournament setting or something like that, this would be a mulligan. Okay, we'll start by getting rid of the land in our deck, and hopefully look to draw one of the 2 drops. Okay, they have Bristly Bill. Yeah. So my prediction is, in this game, I'm going to stake my reputation on a Tifa deck winning, right? May not be ours. Does look like we are kind of outmatched here. Archdruid Charm's not going to do anything until we get a creature down, and he's looking at a turn 4-ish kill. So, yeah. Yeah, he's got it. Good job. The speed of the deck, if your opponent stumbles, is just too much to overcome, and that is usually the case with a lot of these best of one decks. You're just really pushing the pace there. As mainly an aggro deck with this kind of like combo-ish +1/+1 counter, doubling finishing plan, the aggro part of the deck is always the most important, right? Get pressure on your opponent, keep attacking every turn. It just goes ahead and smooths everything out for your deck. Okay, we're going to start with Zaz Chocobo. And now that we have Fabled Passage be the 4th land, right? So land 2, 3, 4. Now we won't be playing Fabled Passage until then. Going to take a card and take Bushwhack. Okay. It does make me want to play Bushwhack right away, since he does not seem to want us to. Get that out of the way. And attack. We could have used Fabled Passage to get a second counter here, but I think we'll have better things to do with it later. We just get the Hydra out early. Could this be a counter? I did not consider the counter. So if I was considering the counter, was Llanowar Elf a better play there? I don't know. Discard a card. Okay. Well, we could get the land. This will be a 4/5. Right? So we could play Bushwhack here. And we're going to have to discard Llanowar Elf. Okay. With no blockers, it means we can still attack. And pass back. Okay, a little afraid of him not doing anything, so we will attack and see what's up. During Curiosity. Okay, he's going to draw a card. We're going to play Tifa and pass back. We have one protection spell here. Okay. I'll draw a card. My turn. This is attacking for 5. we could get a land. We can make this 2 power, get a land, and make this 4 power. Right? Getting the land would make this 5 power. That's attacking for 9. That's not exactly what I want to be doing. Okay, we can just see what else he has. Don't want to overextend into a sweeper, but I want to make sure that I have the ability to close out this game next turn. Archdruid's Charm can get a creature or land and put it onto the battlefield tapped, so you can get the triggers here. Count on one target. Activated or triggered ability. Okay. Which one is that? Okay. He knows we have Archmage's Charm, so he knows we can get rid of it. He's going to have to do something, right? Because otherwise he's going to have to block. Right? This forces him to do something. Because right now he is dead on board. Okay. Not sure if that was math on my opponent's turn, or if he was just out of things to do there. But that was a good win there. This is certainly a fun deck to play, or at least fun is subjective, right? So I shouldn't say certainly a fun deck. I find it a fun deck to jump in and play for a little while. Not sure that this is going to be the end-all be-all deck, your favorite deck forever, but it is certainly a lot of fun. We're gonna have to run out Tifa without any protection, but Tifa, Bristly Bill on turn 3 with 2 triggers. It's just too good to do. So we'll play it here. If the opponent knows what's up, they'll do everything they can to get it off the battlefield. Then turn 4, Spring Bloom Druid to get at least 2 more counters. Or 2 more triggers, I should say. Yeah, they'll have to have something. Yep, and they do. Okay. I expect my opponents to have something, right? Like, you cannot go around thinking you're the only one playing Magic. So I'll go ahead and get off the counter and pass. When we talk about questions and answers with Control Deck, we still have 2 more questions that are going to need to be answered. The Druid is just something that will happen, but not something that is necessarily like super important at the moment. We'll go ahead and get this out and get these counters started. We're looking for Archdruid's Charm to exile an enchantment and at least have that as an option. We'll go ahead and play Bristly Bill. See what my opponent does. Okay, that is a counter. This is attacking for 4. Next turn it's going to attack for 8. So it does need to be answered. If he does answer this, Druid is not going to do much against him. So, okay. That will answer for a Vial. Size Chocobo. Druid. If he has a sweeper, we are going to lose the game anyway. I'm not overly worried about that right now. We're going to get our counters going. He's going to be in chump block mode. He is going to need a sweeper this turn. I guess he doesn't need a sweeper this turn. He could jump block. He could do some other things. But he's going to need a sweeper in the next 2 turns or so. Or these counters are going to get out of control. Yep. This will give something hexproof and trample. He's got open mana right now, so I think the hexproof part is going to be more important. This will be a 9. This will be a... yeah. This is one of the math is just too high. He's got something in his hand, right? Like, he's not going to let us do this for nothing. Or he has nothing in hand, and yeah, that's the best that he had. Okay. The deck has been much more resilient than I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be straight up glass cannon. It certainly fits in that archetype, but it has had more resilience. We're going to go back and take a look at the deck list once more. If I had changes, right? Obviously, if you're coming at this from a budget perspective, play the deck. Don't play the deck 5 times. Play the deck 20 times. See how you like it before you invest in all the rare and mythic rares. I do think this card has held its own. It's been able to take the Llanowar Elves, the Druids, the little cards that you have left over from their utility early game and be able to turn them into threats later in the game. You're not a go wide deck, but it certainly felt like you were with this card. Archdruid's Charm, we didn't get to see enough. It is really powerful, and I think that the drawback is being 3 mana. Although when you have Llanowar Elf, it doesn't seem like that much of a drawback. When you don't have Llanowar Elf, that's when it gets a little bit spicy, right? Holding back Snakeskin Veil was, at times, owners on the mana, although Overprotect seems to overperform. And so, while these cards are uncommons, these are easier to pick up in your budget list, run them, and you decide what kind of split is better for you. I could see somebody saying that 3-3 would be good. I could see 4-3. And I could also see no overprotects, load up higher on creatures, Traveling Chocobo, those type of things where you can... Traveling Chocobo lets you get lands or bird creatures, right? And so it can get you the Zaz Chocobo off the top of your library. There's a lot of reasons to do something like that. But this is the mono green version. I hope you liked it. I hope you saw the power of the deck. We've won against sweepers. We won against Enduring Curiosity, flash type control decks. We were able to win because we had the pressure just adding on to your opponent every single turn. And that's a really good way of playing this. So I would love this to be a discussion in the comments below. What flavor of the Tifa deck do you prefer? And maybe I could do a follow-up looking at some of the splashes that people are playing and how much power they bring to the deck. If you like content like this, give us a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment below. All of those things really do help. And the best way to support the channel, there is a Amazon web store link in the description. It is an affiliate link. It is of no cost to you. But if you do buy anything on Amazon, whether it's Magic or anything else, if you go through that link, we get a few percentages, and it really helps keep the channel supported. So thank you, everybody, and I'll see you next time. Bye, guys.